Hi guys, Annette here. I just wanted to bring you along. I'm going to make some pickled peppers. I'm going to sit down at my kitchen table and I'm going to slice all of these up into rings. There are some white peppers here. I think they're Hungarian peppers. I think that they are kind of a little bit on the spicier side. I don't think they're super hot. And then there's some sweet mini peppers here. These all came from my gleaning program, and so I thought I would slice them up into rings, mix them up, and make some pickled peppers. I'm going to use the recipe from Pick Your Own online. They're a pretty reputable site, and their recipe doesn't call for very much sugar, and so that's why I'm going with that one, because I don't like sweet pickled things very much. And so there's only 2 tablespoons of sugar for this recipe for the brine. So I'm going to go ahead and slice all of those up. When they're all sliced up and de-seeded and rinsed and all that, I'll come back and show you guys what the next step is, and I'll be back. Hey guys, so I got my peppers all cut up into rings. There they are. There are jars in the pressure canner. It's just I'm just using it as boiling water bath. I'm not having pressure going to that. The lid's just setting on there. It's not locked on. I'm waiting for those jars to come to a boil and sterilize. And then in here, sorry about Lucian in the background. He feels like he needs to talk when I'm talking. There is 5 cups of vinegar in here, and what I did is I did 3 cups of white vinegar and 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. I like the flavor of the apple cider vinegar better. They're the same percentage acidity, so they're kind of interchangeable, but the recipe did say that the white vinegar gave the finished product a better color. So I decided to do 3 cups of white and 2 cups of apple cider, but what you need is 5 cups of vinegar. So you can choose what vinegar you would like to use. And then right here I have a cup of water that's going to be added. There is 4 teaspoons of salt there, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and it called for 2 garlic cloves. I'm just going to throw in a pinch of that dehydrated garlic that I have. And I may put a pinch of the dehydrated garlic in each jar. I really like my peppers, my pickled peppers with garlic in them. So I'm going to go ahead and add those into this pot here. Sorry, cord always in the way. I'm going to go ahead and add the water. So that's 5 cups vinegar, 1 cup water, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 4 teaspoons of salt, and 2 cloves-ish of garlic. Like I said, I'm just going to add that dehydrated garlic. And then I'm going to turn the burner on high and bring this to a boil. After this comes to a boil, I'll go ahead and turn it off. I'm hoping that the jars come to a boil soon. As soon as those are sterilized, I'm going to take them out. I'm going to fill the jars with peppers, 1/2-inch headspace peppers, and then brine right there. And then I think they boiling water bath for 10 minutes, but I have to double check the recipe. And when we go to do that, I'll show you guys that next step. So when I come back, it'll probably be time to fill the jars, and it should be just a few seconds for you guys. So I'll be back in just a few moments. Okay, so next I'm going to fill the jars with the peppers. I've washed my hands really well. I'm just going to go ahead and use my hands to put them in there. If you feel like you need to wear gloves or use a utensil, that is completely up to you. I'm going to fill these to about a 1-inch headspace, and then they're going to be filled with brine to about a 1/2-inch headspace, just to make sure that the peppers are covered. Just so you know, the directions did say after simmering the brine for 10 minutes to remove the garlic cloves. I'm not going to do that. There's plenty of vinegar in here. The little pieces of garlic will just be pickled along with the peppers. I really enjoy that. I like the pieces of pickled garlic. If you don't, feel free to remove them, like the recipe states, but I'm actually going to add a few more into each jar. The recipe also states that you can add an extra ½ teaspoon of salt to each jar per taste preference. It's not for preservation, it's just for taste preference. I tasted the brine. Be warned, it's very vinegary when you taste it. I thought the salt was pretty good in it. I did add 1 extra teaspoon. So my recipe of brine actually has 5 teaspoons of salt in it. And I just decided to add it directly to the brine instead of into each jar. So these are pretty well mixed. I'm just going to grab some and put them in the jar here. They need to be packed not super duper tight, but they can be pressed in a little bit, especially when they're sliced like this. You can also, the recipe says you can also do whole peppers if you'd like. I'm going to actually take that out and take a look in here. And we're about at the 1-inch space. I'm going to push those down a little bit more, add a few more in here and there. And then when I get all these jars full, I'll bring you guys back because I'm going to add in a few of those garlic slices and then add the brine in. So I will bring you back when I go to do that. Okay guys, so there's my jars. They are filled about to 1 inch of headspace with the peppers. I'm going to fill them to a ½ inch headspace with brine. I'm going to debubble. I'm going to wipe the lids and rings, and then I'm going to put these in the back in the boiling water bath canner for 10 minutes to process. So as you can see, I put some of those dried garlic chips in there. If you wanted to use fresh garlic, that's fine. I just always have those garlic chips on hand. And I didn't take them out of the brine. And if you can see them in here, it's really hard to see because they're kind of the same color as the pan, but they're fully rehydrated. So they will rehydrate in this brine. I'm going to try and do this while showing you guys. Oops, maybe. And I think that's about it. So you can see that. It's about a ½ inch headspace. I'm going to continue and do all of these, filling them with the brine. Then I'll go through and debubble with one of my handy little plastic chopsticks that I use. You just go around the jar like so. And or you can use that debubble tool. But I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of these jars, and then I will be back when it's time to put them in the boiling water bath canner. I'll give you guys a little close up there. That's what they look like. That's the one with the brine in it, and the peppers will float just a little bit. You just push them down after you debubble. And I think that these are going to look really pretty and they're going to taste delicious. So I have 4 12-ounce jars and 2 8-ounce jars, and that was just a guess, but it actually filled them all fairly well. So I was pretty excited about that. So especially since all the peppers were free from my gleaning group, I think this was a really good little batch of canning here. So I will be back when it's time to probably put the last lid and ring on, show you guys another little close-up, and then put those into the canner to process for 10 minutes. Okay guys, these are all filled up, about a ½ inch headspace with brine. I'm going to go ahead and wipe the rims. I don't think that anything really got on there, but you wipe them just to make sure. Sorry again about Lucian in the background. So yeah, you just go around each one, you wipe it really well. You take a lid and a ring out of the warm water. You don't simmer these anymore, you just put them in warm water to sit for a little while. And then you put that on there and you do fingertip tight. And then that one is ready to go in the canner. So once I get them all ready like that, I will show you guys putting them into the canner, which the water is boiling away right now, so it's all ready for these jars. Okay guys, these are all ready to go in the canner. All the lids are on, fingertip tight. So we will take them and put them into our boiling canner. The jars are pretty warm, so I'm not too worried about them breaking. If you were concerned about jars that aren't boiling hot going into boiling water, then you could not have the water quite boiling, just have it simmering, and then bring it up to a boil once you put the jars in. Because the peppers are cold when you put the hot brine in, so it does cool the brine down a little bit. There are our 4 12-ounce jars in there now. And like I said, this is my pressure canner. One of my pressure canners. I have 2. This is my 16-quart Presto, and since the jars aren't very tall, they will all fit in here. And it looks like when I add this last jar in, it may not be an inch covering, and it's not quite. So I will be adding just a little bit of water to this, and when it comes back up to a boil, that's when I'll start my 10-minute processing time. So I'm going to add a little water to that. When it comes back to a boil, then we'll start the 10-minute processing time. Alright, so our jars boiled for 10 minutes in the boiling water bath canner. They've been sitting here off of the heat for just a few minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and start to remove them from the canner and set them out. So the peppers have really good color. They're floating a little bit, which happens. They will kind of settle in as they set. So there's one. Another one. I always tend to group together when they're boiling in the canner like that because I use my pressure canner. They don't have the little separators in between, which is fine with me because when I do a bigger batch, I can fit more jars into the canner. There they are. They look pretty good. I'll let these sit overnight. As they cool, they will seal, and tomorrow when they're completely cooled, I will take the rims off and I will wash them down and I will label them, and they will be ready for the pantry. So that is mixed pickled peppers. Those white ones were fairly spicy, not too spicy. They were kind of the same spiciness, I'd say, as like maybe a jalapeno. And also I took all the seeds out, so they shouldn't be very spicy. Mixed with sweet peppers as well. They were sweet mini peppers in there as well. So I think that these will be really, really good on like sandwiches especially. I don't know if you guys have Jimmy John's where you live. We do have one here, and they use like a mixed pickled pepper on their sandwiches that are slightly spicy but not too spicy. So I'm hoping that these turn out the same way. I hope you guys like this recipe. I hope you guys are enjoying the canning recipes, and feel free to comment below if you guys have any canning that you'd like to see. I won't guarantee that I'll do it, but if it's something that I do I'll make sure I put it on the list to show you guys. And until next time, I'll see ya. Bye.